Welcome to CMMS Radio, a podcast and general resource for all things CMMS, computerized maintenance management software, from selection to implementation to help you make better choices and have a successful CMMS journey. We'll bring in experts along the way to help us learn more about CMMS, facilities operations, and much more. All right, thank you for tuning in, everybody. Today, we've got two returning guests. We've got Matthew Knuth. He tells the truth. He's a condition monitoring solutions engineer at SPM Instrument. And we've got the one and only Corey Dickens. He's a senior solutions consultant at Brightly. We're going to discuss an upcoming presentation they're giving at the Reliabile Plant and Machinery Lubrication Conference and Exhibit happening in Chicago, June 3rd through 6th, 2024. Fellas, welcome back to CMMS Radio.
Happy to be here.
Good to be back.
Glad we got through all the technical difficulties.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, so we think we did,
Yeah,
right?
We'll see.
Well, speaking of technical things, whether they're difficulties or not, because I think we can circle around a lot of that in this discussion today, we're going to focus in on your presentation. The two of you are going to present together, and that's at Reliabile Plant happening in Chicago. I want to find out, without you guys giving away too much of the secret sauce behind the presentation, what is this presentation all about? And we're going to start with Matt.
Boy, you know what? I'm going to defer to Corey. Corey was kind enough to include me in on this, asked if I would co-present with him. And as you know, I'm a big fan of Reliabile Plant. So I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'll come in and we'll talk. You know, Corey's going to start it off, I believe, on his side with the CMMS stuff. And then I'm just there for moral support, Greg. He's just going to defer things to me. If it gets deep in the weeds with the vibration stuff, I'll just be there cracking bad jokes, talking smack, you know, doing what I do best.
Telling the truth. That's what we get from Matt Knuth. So, Corey, talk to me about this presentation, just generally, without giving away all the good stuff people will get at conference. But can you give me some general background on what the presentation is, just a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, don't let Matt kind of play it down. He's going to be an integral part of this, but he has two, right? So he's got his own, and then he's also co-presenting on this. But yeah, this was my thing because, I mean, from the topics you've covered on CMMS Radio, other things that we see on LinkedIn day in and day out, right? We all send it to each other and we all chime in like, what is this? What is going on? Where's the confusion being had? And, you know, this day and age, the way that technology is going, there's a lot of confusion. There's a lot of hype around condition monitoring and newer approaches, even though they don't like to call it out that this is a condition monitoring technology or a piece of the puzzle, right? They try to put their own twist on things. At Reliabile Plant, let's get in front of our friends and people that may be navigating this wilderness, and let's have a real talk, right? Again, bring me in from being on the front lines right now, seeing it, especially people with CMMSs and how they want to connect these systems. They're tired of these running these programs in their own little silos, right? Or having to manually import. They want to see how we can connect and do this stuff, especially at a lower spectrum. I came from a small, medium-sized manufacturer where charging me an arm and a leg for these different, you know, condition monitoring or PDM techniques was out of my realm. But you talk about a few $100s for a wireless sensor or a few sensors, and I can monitor some really critical piece of equipment and just really like tap in and listen to what they're trying to tell me. And then that connected to my CMMS, that would have been a no-brainer, right? I mean, I still would have had to convince the bosses at B. But I'm going to bring that approach. I'm going to bring my approach and my experience, which is a little limited on the condition monitoring side. And I'll be honest about that. But that's why I asked Matt to jump in, because Matt is that guy. So we're bringing a dual perspective there, and we're going to balance nicely. And it's not a good cop, bad cop. It may be bad cop, bad cop. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're just going to talk about the topic is decoding condition monitoring. It's just going to be a condition monitoring real talk. It's going to be a little bit of a reset back to the basics.
I like it. And then I want to kick that back over to you, Matt, because just the title alone, Decoding Condition Monitoring, a realistic guide amidst industry hype. Can you just give us a little soundbite on what that really means when we talk about that industry hype.
Well, for me, the hype it's all kind of funny right now because, if you're a dinosaur like I am in the condition monitoring space, when I started out, you didn't have all these different terms and things like that. So, when Corey asked me if I'd be a part of this, I was pretty honored, one, and two, like he says, real talk. So it's exciting because these are the types of conversations I like to have, just more of a general discussion. We'll probably get we're not going to PowerPoint anybody to death and debate terms, and we're get people engaged to hear, to get them speaking, not just sitting out in the audience sleeping, right? And see where their confusion is, because anybody new, they always ask when you do these things, like, who's your audience? If I had to put my finger on it, I would say this is probably going to appeal more to people who are kind of just getting into condition monitoring, people, who maybe just been around it a few years, or their companies are pushing them into something, right? And right now is kind of it's both an exciting time to be in condition monitoring, but it's also confusing. If you go on any of the social webs, right, especially LinkedIn and things like that, there's any numbers. I like to use the term self-glossed experts on there, throwing out buzzwords and different things, and people debating stuff over that. And, I'm hoping Corey and I, just break it down on a real basic level.
Yeah, I think based on, my interactions with both of you, and not just when you've been on the episodes, but all the other times that we're connecting, collaborating, talking about what we see out there. I mean, we see all kinds of craziness when we talk about condition monitoring in and of itself. And it's important from a CMMS perspective because it's going to be part of the input in what you want to utilize in CMMS environments to get those actual outcomes around reliability, availability, on and on and on like this. I mean, we don't want to put anybody to sleep. We want to give you a little sampling. I want to read something real quick about this session. So again, it's called Decoding Condition Monitoring, a realistic guide amidst industry hype. It's on Tuesday, June 4th. It's from 3:30 to 4:20, and that is in Ballroom E. And that's going to be at the Reliable Plant Conference. The session cuts through the marketing noise, empowering attendees with the right knowledge to navigate the diverse landscape of condition monitoring technologies. You're going to gain practical insights, move beyond generic information to strategically choose the right technology for your unique operational context. And simply stated, these two are going to tell you the truth. They're going to probably demystify some of the buzzwords and just talk about how it really is and what you really need to pay attention to. Real quick, I want to do a shout out about the conference itself, guys. We've got a huge 50% discount for anybody that wants to get to Reliable Plant. You visit conference.reliableplant.com and use the code GREG50 off. That's Greg, Greg, 50 OFF, and you'll get 50% off attending. That way we can see you in Chicago. Now, for both of you, I wanted to ask, first we'll start with Corey. What are you most looking forward to, aside from this presentation you're going to give at Reliable Plant, when it comes to being at Reliable Plant?
Other than seeing you, other than seeing Matt, seeing all my other friends, right? It's a great group of people that are like-minded, both on the vendor side and the people attending, right? The people attending, they don't want the BS. They can get the BS on the websites. They want to come and they want to hear it in person. They want to see it. They want to touch it. They want to talk to people who've been there. And then for us, vice versa, right? I talk to a lot of people who think they know how these things work and are disconnected from how they actually get adopted on the shop floor. The people that come, we're trying to get more of the people through the qualified attendee program or qualified end user program, and then your discount code, right? Get the people who turn the wrench, monitor these technologies, do the work, get them there. So again, through this session or other sessions, we can help them be in charge of their selection process and then go out to the vendors on the floor, which there's some really good ones, and then say, okay, show me how this is going to work. And let's go through, right? They have a better guide to own the selection process versus being led.
Yeah, I think that's important. And a lot of the people at this conference, because I went last year, to where I had the absolute pleasure of meeting Matt in person. We've got a great picture too. I'm going to see if I can put that up in this episode because it is a really solid picture. I think the thing I like about it is you get these people that kind of understand, speak, think, and kind of move through the world in a maintenance perspective, even if they're not directly in maintenance, but they understand that about their organization. There's lots of collaboration. People are sharing war stories and things that have actually helped solve problems. Not a lot of fluff, not a lot of buzzwords when it comes to the interactions that I've seen and been part of when I was at that conference. And we're going to do it again. Now, Matt, I want to get back to you on this. And I know you're giving you're doing this presentation with Corey, you're doing another presentation, and then SPM Instrument is also going to be there exhibiting, true?
Correct.
And you'll be manning that booth so people could stop by and see you and learn all about the realities, the actual truth about condition monitoring.
Absolutely.
I had a question for you on condition monitoring. There's a term floating around out there that I don't think is an actual thing. And I wanted to, Corey and I talk about this sometimes. What on earth is condition-based monitoring?
I think that came about a few years after, and I'm sure some of the listeners could chime in and correct me, but there's a lot of people that take issue with that term. I guess I really don't have a problem with it. I think condition-based came in after, preventative maintenance, right? PM stuff where it was time-based. So I think that was just a natural progression. They just threw the word based in there. I just like to say condition monitoring. It's the same with predictive maintenance. We said it for 20 years and all of a sudden people started having an issue with that too. But that's just how things naturally progress. People nitpick to death predictive. Well, what are you predicting? It's already failed. To me, the predictive side has always been, for those of us boots on the ground, is being asked that $1 million question: will my bearing last to the next down? Right. That's the predictive side. That's the part. That's the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think, when they say predictive technologies, I think it was just a term of the time, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think sometimes this is the reason I asked the question, and this is Corey and I talk about this in this particular light where we get so many terms, buzzwords, and this is why the education around this space, these technologies, whether you really need them or when you should be looking at them as far as your journey on the maintenance kind of maturity journey, when you should be looking at things like sensor integration, condition monitoring. Typically for me, there are some instances where early in your stages of adopting technology for maintenance and reliability or related, it's okay to bring in some of these technologies, but it's more likely to be successful if you've already got some partial digitization, a tremendous amount about your teams and your operations, and you have that mindset in place with your team where they're really focused on doing great maintenance. I think that's when these technologies can come in and really level you up. You think that's fair to say, Corey?
I think so. I think nothing is always in a vacuum and linear, right? People can bounce around. I mean, just think of condition monitor, right? And moving towards a condition-based maintenance on the spectrum of the PF curve, which people generally use to interpret, right? What is one of the fundamentals of maintenance management that must be in place to become effective, right? And I'm stealing that from Joe the other day, right? To be effective, you must have a robust planning and scheduling function in place to handle the influx of the work orders that you're going to generate through these condition monitoring techniques. And then you must be able to prioritize and plan and procure the parts and then execute the work. If you're just firefighting and now you want to throw some sensors on, you're just going to be firefighting times 2. And you're just going to be ignoring the sensors and they're going to go into the backlog, right? So you're trying to become efficient for efficient's sake. You need to become effective at the basics first before this stuff can really start to catapult you.
There you go. And that's, oftentimes when we do episodes like this and we get together and we're just chopping it up, really trying to provide some real insights, some things that are practical and useful. That's the thing that just keeps coming back. And if anybody's on this journey and you kind of leap forward a little bit too soon, it's not the end of the world. At the same time, we're saying it's not the way. But if you're in that situation, anybody that, hears this, watches this, these are two gentlemen that can help you out with that just to kind of figure it out. A guy like Matt, if you're already doing stuff with condition monitoring and sensors, and maybe it's just not working, you should reach out to him, because he can at least hear what you're dealing with and give you some ideas. That's all. I mean, he's totally down to do that. And I think the same of you, Corey, when it comes to situations that are condition monitoring or CMMS related. And I would say Matt on CMMS as well, even though he's always telling me, Greg, I don't know CMMS as well as you think I do. I actually think you do, because you understand maintenance and reliability. So this is the thing. I just want to encourage everybody to get in touch with these two gentlemen. But again, the real reason for this episode is to showcase this presentation they're going to do together. So a couple of things I want to close out with. First of all, I'll remind you once again, if you want to go to Reliable Plant, you can get 50% off on attending by visiting conference.reliableplant.com and use the code GREG50OFF, and you'll get 50% off. And that way we can see you in Chicago. You can go and see Matt Knuth and Corey Dickens do this presentation. And you can find Matt and Corey on LinkedIn. Just look for them. Matthew Knuth is Mattthew, and it's Knuth, Knuth. And Corey Dickens is Corey, Corey, Dickens, Dickens. And you'll find him on LinkedIn. They're both really interested in talking to you just about anything you're doing in the maintenance world. Doesn't hurt to have a 10 or 15-minute conversation. And there's going to be a bunch of cool stuff happening when we get to conference, guys. We're going to do some more group pictures. We're going to have you on for some episodes. I hope your presentation goes really, really well. What's cool is I'm not presenting at that same time, so I get to check it out. And maybe afterwards we can find 10 or 15 minutes and just talk to you about how the presentation went. Can we agree on that?
Yeah, or ask the people that are at the session.
That was where I was going to go next, is when you're done with your presentation, maybe at the end, let people know they can head over to the place where I'm recording so I can just get some of their insights on what they learned. But I want to thank you both for being here with me on CMMS Radio again. Gentlemen, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Greg.
You got it. Did you find this episode helpful? Please send us some feedback, suggest a topic, or ask a question. Reach out to CMMS Radio if you need a co-pilot on your CMMS project. Visit CMMSradio.com and use the What's on Your Mind link. Thank you for tuning in to CMMS Radio, your resource for all things CMMS, from selection to implementation, to help you make better choices, learn from industry experts, and have a successful CMMS journey.